can!
It's over!
He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net.
Nice one.
Straight down the middle. So a good performance.
Hi, you're watching Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's get the show on the road. Well, on the show today is India men's cricket captain Rohit Sharma contemplating sitting out of the series against England that's coming up. Is that the board forcing him out, or is it just the skipper trying to preserve his career for the long haul? Stay tuned for more on this. There is friction in Red Bull. They've not had the most dominating starts to the season. Now, there are rumours of a bullying culture endorsed by their most important member. Is it true? And what lies ahead for this team? And a video taunting Thomas Tuchel has gone viral. Ex-England manager Harry Redknapp has called him a German spy. Not the best historic reference, as the German coach helms affairs and takes on the most difficult job in football today. More on that in the show, but first a look at the headlines on Sports 360. Starting with cricket and IPL, Lucknow beat Hyderabad by 5 wickets to register their first win of the 2025 season. Put into bat first, Hyderabad were restricted to 190 thanks to Shardul Thakur's 4 wickets. In response, Nicholas Pooran's 26 ball 70 helped Lucknow chase the target down in 16 overs. On to football. Europe's football governing body UEFA has opened a probe against 4 Real Madrid players. Antonio Rudiger, Kylian Mbappe, Vinicius Jr. and Dani Ceballos have been accused of indecent gestures towards Atletico Madrid fans during the Champions League round of 16 tie. If the players are found guilty before Real Madrid's quarter-final against Arsenal, they risk missing the first leg. Meanwhile, in La Liga, Barcelona maintained their top spot in the league after a 3-0 win over Osasuna. Ferran Torres, Dani Olmo scored in the first half. Robert Lewandowski extended the lead in the second. With 63 points, Barcelona are 3 points ahead of second-placed Real Madrid. Over to tennis. Former world number 1 Novak Djokovic has entered the Miami Open semi-finals. The 24-time Grand Slam winner beat Sebastian Corda in straight sets. With the win, Djokovic at 37 has become the oldest ATP Masters semi-finalist. And news from golf. International Golf Federation, or the IGF, has opened the bid to include mixed competition at the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. While the sport has seen both men's and women's events in the 5 occasions that it's featured at the Games, the mixed team event has been absent. The Indian Premier League is underway, yes, but preparations and planning are all already starting to fall into place for what is to come later, India's Test series against England. And there are murmurs and reports of Captain Rohit Sharma opting out of the Test series. We're going to decode this and what could really happen in there. Now, India, of course, is in a transition phase. It is all but clear. Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli both hung up their boots in T20 internationals after leading India to a memorable T20 World Cup win last year. But there are still 2 other formats, and both gave little to no indication of resting from the game when it came to this. Let's look at the ODI format first. Both Rohit and Virat had a good Champions Trophy campaign, at least with the bat, just last month. Of course, it was not mammoth scoring, but they looked good and solid out there, putting in key performances when mattered. Because ultimately, it is a team game and the 2 were pulling their weight. In fact, Rohit went out and put all talks of him possibly announcing his retirement from this format by addressing that at the press conference.
I'm not going to retire from this format, just to make sure that no rumors are spread moving forward.
So that is that, and if word is to be believed, he will train with Abhishek Nair to get into the fittest possible shape for the next World Cup. The ODI World Cup, that is, seems a little improbable but not impossible. If Imran Khan could come out of retirement to win a World Cup for Pakistan at 41, which is decades ago, in 1992, Rohit Sharma can stay fit and strong for another 2 years, surely. Well, that's the hope. Now, of course, comes the grueling format, the tests. Now is when we enter a slightly tricky ground. While Rohit Sharma's hunger isn't conditional, he would want to go out on a high in this format too. The last Test series against England, against Australia, beg your pardon, was a woeful one, particularly for Rohit. He missed the first Test for the birth of his second child. India, of course, won that under the leadership of Jasprit Bumrah and then flew in to take charge. The next 3 Tests were disastrous for the visitors, so much so that Rohit Sharma had to sit out of the last Test. Rohit Sharma even came out during the last game and spoke to the broadcasters that it was in fact his decision to sit himself out of this one as he was not performing and the team was suffering hence.
This decision is not a retirement decision, nor am I going to step aside from the game. There is no such decision. I'm out of the game because of the lack of form.
Rohit proved that the team mattered more than his ego or his place in the 11. But the Champions Trophy win turned all that around, announcing that he was here to stay for a while at least. The England series, while essential for India, is also a time to reflect and work on the Indian transitioning squad. Who to take over? If Rohit Sharma sits out of this series, who will take charge? Who will step up? Jasprit Bumrah, of course, is the ideal replacement, but when will he come back fit? If sometime during the IPL, then great, he gets that match practice in. He will have time to get back into his groove and work towards attaining full fitness by the time India is ready to leave for England. If not, who then? The options, of course, are a few youngsters, possibly Shubman Gill or KL Rahul, who are the most consistent presence in the 11. Shubman Gill is yet to get into a rhythm with his batting now before he's entrusted with captaincy responsibilities, at least in the longest format. KL Rahul is definitely an option, but will he want this stopgap arrangement? Because we know how he feels about leadership. But will Rohit Sharma opt out of this for this break? Is this a way to preserve and remain fit for the years to come? Players' minds, especially when they've reached a certain level in the sport, is rather complex. It's difficult to really assess and read what goes through in there and what they truly desire at that point. Rohit Sharma would definitely want to pace himself out for a big burst. But maybe this will be one chapter in that course. This Formula One season is throwing up fireworks. There's much happening off the tracks, yes, that's keeping us all hooked. If Ferrari is trying its best to reset and get up and running in time, then Red Bull doesn't seem to be too far off the mark from having their own set of issues to deal with. This one, like last year, threatening to smoke up their campaign. Seems like Red Bull is receiving severe backlash for being bullies. Now that's a serious offense and a grave statement to make, but it's not mine. First off, how is Red Bull faring in this season so far? After the first 2 races in Australia and China, Red Bull are trailing both drivers in the drivers' standings as well as the constructors' points table. In the drivers' list, it is McLaren's Lando Norris, who's leading comfortably with 44 points. Max Verstappen may just be 8 points behind Norris, but breathing down his neck are George Russell and Oscar Piastri, 1 and 2 points behind him respectively. So clearly, a minor slip-up any time from here from Verstappen may see him lose that second spot too. But the major concern lies in the constructors' standings. It is once again McLaren shining here through with 78 points right at the top. Mercedes second at 57. Red Bull much lower at 36, 42 points behind the number 1 position. Williams and Ferrari round off the top 5 at 4th and number 5th. And the reason is this: while Verstappen still managed to finish around the top there, a number 2 and number 4 finish in Australia and China, his new teammate for the season, Liam Lawson, failed to grab a single point. And in his defense, it is still early days and an early start for the 23-year-old. The New Zealander, up until last season, was driving for RB, Red Bull's second team in Formula One, their sibling team. And upgrading from RB to Red Bull ought to bring out some of the nerves, the pressure of what could have been his first full season for Red Bull. Probably it got to him. But Red Bull, on the other hand, doesn't think of it this way. They said 2 races, that's enough for a driver to prove if he truly belongs at the top or not. So for the upcoming Japanese Grand Prix, they have replaced Lawson with another RB driver, Yuki Tsunoda. Now, while it's a massive breakthrough for Tsunoda, it is unfair for the man he's stepping in for, Lawson, a huge blow to his confidence as a driver. A demotion at the start of season isn't something that a driver can really deal with, and a young one at that, which is the reason why Red Bull's decision hasn't gone down too well with fans and critics. But it goes beyond this. It feels like it isn't just the critics and fans who are unhappy with Red Bull and the way they've handled Lawson. The drivers have joined in too. Most importantly, Red Bull's very own Max Verstappen, the Dutch driver, liked a post criticizing Red Bull's decision to drop Lawson in Japan. The interesting thing here is the post called the Lawson issue a bullying incident. Now, this is huge, not the fact that Verstappen has reacted. He's known to speak his mind no matter the subject, so that's a given here. But this statement by him establishes, rather reinforces two things. One, Verstappen is unhappy with the way his own team have dealt with a minor setback and his teammate. Two, the fact that he agrees that his own team is a big bully. Let's go back to last year. Red Bull were under immense scrutiny owing to the scandal involving team principal Christian Horner. Horner was accused of inappropriate behavior by one of their female employees. Red Bull tried to hush it all up, brush it aside, and by dismissing the grievances against Horner with an internal investigation. But once the email exchange between Horner and the female employee surfaced, it sparked a massive controversy. Teams, drivers all demanded an explanation from FIA and Red Bull themselves. That dragged on for months, but somehow the matter was suppressed, no action taken. Max Verstappen and his father weren't happy with the whole Horner episode. They made no bones about it. They even claimed Red Bull would burst if Horner continued to hold this power. The scandal threatened to rip the team apart. Tensions were such that it gave rise to rumors of Verstappen even leaving Red Bull. But again, the powers that be came into play and Verstappen stayed. No further clarification. And of course, they managed to hold on the season. Clearly, Verstappen, in an unsaid statement, is highlighting the fact that there is a bullying culture in this team. It is either Red Bull and Horner's way or the high road. Last year, they replaced Sergio Perez with Lawson, and now they are doing it again after just 2 races. Nothing new from Red Bull, though. They have a history of doing it across teams. Verstappen, in his 9-year spell at Red Bull, has had 7 different drivers racing alongside him. It started with Carlos Sainz in 2015 at Toro Rosso, Red Bull's second team. And when Verstappen was promoted to the first team, his first teammate was Daniel Ricciardo, who was there for 58 races. Then came the short spell of Pierre Gasly in 2019, followed by Alex Albon till 2020. The longest at Red Bull was Sergio Perez, who was there for 3 seasons. The latest to face the brunt was, of course, Liam Lawson, who was just there for 2 races, and now Yuki Tsunoda has come up for the next race onwards. The same has been the case with Tsunoda as well. Verstappen will be his 7th teammate since he joined RB in 2021, clearly indicating that the level of patience at Red Bull as a group wears thin. They demand results, but showing faith in their drivers? Maybe only a championship title will earn that right. Now with this pairing, Verstappen has to start all over again. Unlike many other sporting disciplines, Formula One is a lot about teamwork, how drivers combine to get the best out of each other and ultimately their team. And from what we know of Tsunoda, he is a very competitive racer.
I'm ready to fight against that monster, but at the same time, well done to him.
That was Tsunoda last year, ready to make Verstappen fight for every single point. Back then, Tsunoda was still driving for RB. Now he has the super-fast Red Bull car for company and, of course, a teammate in Verstappen. And both Tsunoda and Verstappen are on thin ice here. Every race will be scrutinized much more, and the slightest friction from here on could prove to be tricky. England, the assumed birthplace of football as a sport, has hardly had success on the international stage. Their biggest and only major silverware was the FIFA World Cup that was back in 1966. But even with over half a century passing by, the founders have only floundered in major tournaments. The irony here is, in the hopes to find supremacy again, they are seeking the help from a nation they fought hard battles with during World War I and World War II. Germany's Thomas Tuchel was appointed as the English manager after Gareth Southgate was sacked. And while Tuchel does have a resume that makes him a desirable candidate, a former coach and Englishman, Harry Redknapp, has called Tuchel a German spy. Our next report tells you more.
Germany and Britain's history are filled with references of World War I and World War II, and majorly the Nazi era, a dark period in history portraying the two nations as sworn enemies. Which is one of the reasons why, even though they have been long-time NATO allies, whenever the two unite for a cause, there's always a hint of drama. If not in the geopolitical world, at least in the sporting sphere, and more so in football. Their rivalry here has shaped global competitions, one of the intense battles in sport. And while Britain may have got the better of Germany in world wars, over on the football ground, it's the other way around. A major difference in silverware. Germany has been world champions 4 times, and England, on the other hand, just once. And the numbers get worse here on. Germany have been European champions thrice to that of England 0. An Olympic gold for Germany, but for England, none. Even in FIFA confederations, Germany has won it at least once, but England have just been unfortunate here too. So after years, England realized that maybe it would be a German manager who can take them to an international trophy finally, which is why they appointed Thomas Tuchel earlier this year. Only the 3rd international manager they've had and the first German one. But not everybody in the English circle seems to be pleased with it. During an event in London, former manager Harry Redknapp called Thomas Tuchel a German spy. And he didn't stop there. He did a Nazi salute and said maybe Tuchel is here to ruin English football.
I like Gareth Southgate, I like him a lot, but we should have won something, you know.
And is this the man now, Tuchel?
I don't know, I mean, I think, I'll be honest with you, I think he's a German spy. I'm telling you. Seriously, he's been sent over to us up. He is definitely coming off. Go over and ruin that team. Yeah.
And while Redknapp might have said this in jest to amuse the crowd, what this statement has done is popped open a debate. Did the Englishman stoop too low with his remarks? Because even while joking, he's picked up an incident which is one of the darkest from their shared history. Well, unlike the Adolf Hitler era, England seemed to be at ease with Tuchel at the helm. Under the German manager, England have been unbeaten so far. Just the 2 wins in as many matches, but a good start as any. And if he's given half the time England gave to their own, Gareth Southgate, which was 8 years, maybe he would turn things around for England. Because this is a manager who has an impressive portfolio. He's a Champions League winner, Club World Cup winner, league champions with Germany and France, has a Super Cup to his name, and the World's Best Coach Award in 2021. And wait for the most exciting part. Drumroll, please. The club international trophies and the Best Coach Award have all come during his spell with Dream Chelsea run between 2020 and 2022, an English football club. So maybe he has England's best interests at heart. because this German spy is surely not carrying the anger of an Adolf Hitler, but the ambition to get England an international trophy, which they failed to do under their previous English managers, all 14 of them. The only exclusion being Alf Ramsey, who led them to their lone FIFA World Cup in 1966. Maybe the only hope for England now is the German way.
Time for Last Serve. We take you to Moscow, where a unique cycle race was organized on a go-karting track. Watch the enthusiasts take sharp and awkward turns with their two-wheelers instead of four. Take a look. That wraps up Firstpost this week. Have a great weekend. I'll of course see you on the other side.
Greeting you with aloha and namaste.
No, I love India.
Presence, occupation of a territory by another country pertains to India. What we saw in Kashmir.
How do you see Trump's America?
Yes, the current administration behaves differently from the previous administration.
Are you saying that there are foreign powers who are trying to bring down the current government in Syria?
Exactly.
Bluntly, Iran, maybe Russia too.
Prime Minister Modi committed to South-South, cooperation.
Not over 50%.
Is Ukraine prepared to pay the price for that peace?
No compromises at the cost of territorial integrity and sovereignty.